Ooh, are you ready for a spooky and haunted weekly draw? Damn it. Oh, we totally missed that.
Yeah, we did.
Sorry, the time change is really messing me up. So I guess it's a regular week in wrestling?
I mean, more regular than normal. We've got an entire week's worth of wrestling to talk about for a change and not just speculate on.
All right, well, let's do that and hope that the U.S. doesn't implode on Tuesday.
There's still time, Tim.
All right,
and we'll just sit here in our Canadian castles.
Let's talk about wrestling. What do we got coming up?
Let's talk about WWE Raw. We've got a full preview for Raw, which hasn't happened in a long time. We have Randy Orton and his championship-sized target. Last Monday, we saw Raw go off the air with Drew McIntyre attacking the new champion after Orton appeared on a Moment of Bliss and had a brush with the Fiend. Earlier in the show, The Miz appeared with Money in the Bank briefcase, reminded us that 10 years ago, he held the case, Randy held the title. So the question becomes, Tim, could history repeat itself and The Miz cash in on Randy Orton?
Could be. Randy was stuck between a rock and a hard place last night with kind of like an annoying fly, buzzing around him, that fly being The Miz. So it's curious to see how he's going to handle all of that pressure, which, he's had to deal with before, but he's getting on in years. So
they're all getting on in years. It's 10 years ago.
Yeah, it's fair.
And the Fiend will be after Randy Orton to get some payback for when he burned down Bray Wyatt's Shack on the Bayou. So the Fiend has a claim to the championship, or at least a claim to taking on Randy Orton. Drew McIntyre, does he deserve a rematch for the WWE Championship? What say you, Tim?
Absolutely. He beat Randy, 2 times before this? Maybe, was it 2? 2 times. Yeah, Give him another shot. It's only fair.
And finally, what will Roman Reigns have to say? The two are preparing to battle at Survivor Series in a champion versus champion match to determine who is the best of the best. Yeah, you get 4 more weeks of us using that tagline, just like WWE does. The look on your face is so exciting, Tim.
I don't know.
All right,
yeah.
Non-title match. It's a non-title match for the tag team champions, non-title match between champions The New Day and Hurt Business representatives Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin. Tim, you called it.
Yeah.
You saw it coming.
Yeah, so they're going to do this. Hurt Business will win, right? Because it's going to set them up for an actual title match, and then they're going to take them. And then it'll be them at Survivor Series versus the Street Profits.
That's the way you see it going.
That's the way I see it going.
So this past Friday on SmackDown, we actually saw the Street Profits take on former champion Shinsuke Nakamura and Cesaro. So do you think there's a chance that we see another title swap on the other brand?
On SmackDown?
Yeah.
No, Street Profits won. It was rough for them, but they won. Like I say, I see them keeping that, and then they're going to Survivor Series. That's what I'm saying.
So how would you feel about this match then becoming, let's say, the Hurt Business versus the Street Profits at Survivor Series?
That's what I said. That's exactly what I said was going to happen.
I'm asking, how would you feel?
I'd be very elated.
What about New Day versus Shinsuke and Cesaro again?
Sleep.
What about Hurt Business versus Shinsuke and Cesaro?
Confused.
Let's say tag title swap on both brands.
I mean, that'd be good, but then it's heel versus heel, and I just kind of don't care.
Well, it's face versus face right now.
Exactly, which is why I'm saying it's going to be heel versus face by the end of the next week.
Well, to back you up, the preview on WWE.com does state that the Hurt Business are after Tag Team Gold, and there's a good possibility that the New Day and the Street Profits, they might be held off for a bigger show. So let's move on, shall we? The unbeaten team of Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke. They're going to be taking on Shayna Baszler, Nia Jax, the women's tag team champions, or as I like to call them, Shania Payne.
So good. They really should just hire you for this type of creative work.
I have other jobs I'd like them to hire me for. Again, the match is non-title. There's no reason to swap these championships before the Survivor Series. The champs are on Raw. So all 4 of these women are going to be on the same team. Are we just going to get into can they get along territory? What say you, Tim?
Yeah, that's what's going to happen. It's just going to, how will they coexist? And it's like, I don't really care if they do or don't. We'll see.
We will. We're also going to see who else joins Team Raw. So far, we have Keith Lee, Sheamus, AJ Styles. They won their way onto the team last week. So who's next? I expect Tucker to join for Team Raw.
Tucky.
I expect Otis to join for Team SmackDown. Do the thing again. Do it again.
Tucky.
Do it again. Yes.
Tucky.
It's like a turkey, but better.
Yeah.
Happy Thanksgiving. And one spot remains after after Tucker gets his spot on the Raw team and Otis on the SmackDown team. We'll cover SmackDown later in the show. So what do you think? We got Miz, Morrison, Drew Gulak, maybe Braun Strowman, Ricochet. Any of those names kind of jump out to you, Tim?
Strowman, probably. That's my guess.
Get a big man.
Yeah.
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 Well, this is the last preview for Raw. This one excites me. It's a guitar on a pole match. They're doing the thing I said they'd do. Again.
So sad.
You didn't have to be a clairvoyant to get this one. During Hell in a Cell, it was obvious where it was going. On Raw, it was obvious where it was going. Both men have brutalized one another with the guitar shot over the last 3 weeks. And this is my favorite. Thank you, WWE.com. The quote is, "None have hit the right chord yet."
I hate all of this. Almost as much as I hate Jeff Hardy's music.
Last week on Raw, both men attacked each other with guitars, only foreshadowing this match further. And again, WWE.com, the quote is, "Who will drop a smash hit when the two superstars meet in a guitar on a pole match?"
The answer is neither.
I have 3 questions for you, Tim. Very easy ones.
Okay.
Have you listened to Elias's new album?
Yes.
Okay, I did too, and I reviewed it for The Distraction over on Fightful's YouTube channel. You can go and take a look at that. It's in their archives or wherever you find your podcast. Good times. Thank you. Have you listened to Jeff Hardy's musical endeavors known as Peroxygen, but spelled out Peroxygen?
A long time ago, and I was very upset with how bad it was. So, no thank you.
And now here's the big question. Whose band is superior? Elias's, Jeff Hardy's, or Chris Jericho's Fozzy?
Fozzy. They at least have
that might be the right answer.
They at least have some semblance of like capability.
I mean, Elias and Jericho have both charted.
Yeah, okay. I don't hold a whole lot of value in the charts. Jericho at least sounds like a rock band. Elias sounds like a parody of a dad rock band. It's like, yeah. And then Peroxygen, if I remember correctly, is a bad grunge band that, sounds like they're a bunch of 14-year-olds who never really learned how to play.
Very electronica, grungy, weird shoegaze.
Yeah.
Go check them out, kids. They're good.
They're not good.
Well, I'm glad that you said that Fozzy would win amongst the 3 because on Dynamite this coming Wednesday, Chris Jericho will be back on commentary. So get ready for wild, wacky, zany Jericho in a 4-man booth.
He's always sounding like he's trying to yell without actually yelling. It's very fun.
Well, know it's going to be fun. Inner Circle members Sammy Guevara and Ortiz are going to be taking on MJF and Wardlow. A bit of a preview of Full Gear for these guys. We're going to have our Full Gear predictions next Saturday on PW Unlimited because the pay-per-view runs next Saturday. That's crazy. Guevara and Ortiz are an interesting group. And Guevara and MJF, while they have their troubles, why aren't they going to use Jake Hager, who's been tiffing with Wardlow?
I think Jake Hager's face hurts. That's my guess.
He got beat up real good, didn't he?
Yeah.
Won his match at Bellator, but not without having some swollen face action.
Yeah, so he's going to have some time off.
Well, we assume MJF is just here to squash any beef with the Inner Circle before he takes them over. Sorry, I may have just spoiled it. Wardlow, meanwhile, is property of MJF, but for how much longer? Oh, damn it, I did it again. Let's talk about Miro's single debut. Make or break time for Miro, because he's going to face off against Trent for the first time in singles competition. Tim, what do you think?
I mean, he's going to win, obviously. It just comes down to how good is this match going to be? Like, it has been pretty so far with his run. I like his promos, but they're not to the level of, like, Eddie or Mox, obviously. So they're not he hasn't had a whole lot to sink his teeth into, but this match needs to be really kind of pristine because he's flubbed a couple things, and I think it's hurting his image.
100%. And with Chuck Taylor in Trent's corner, Kip Sabian in Mira's corner, you expect a little bit of tension between all the four men again.
Oh yeah, a little bit for sure.
Wonderful. Well, unfortunately, Miro's showing so far in AEW has been a little lackluster. And speaking of lackluster, as we discussed in our Tim and Joel Called in the Ring podcast, we have two guys who are a bit directionless in AEW. They're going to face off. Shawn Spears taking on Scorpio Sky. I don't have much to say to this other than it's time to push Scorpio Sky, give him a little bit more than this. And while, Shawn Spears is great, but to be honest, he hasn't had much of an impact since cracking Cody's skull open on night 1.
Yeah, it was weird. He seemed to be like, this super important figure. They gave him his little nickname with the chairman, and then just he kind of wasted away into the background. I don't know.
They gave him Tully.
They gave him Tully, which feels like such a, this is what we do when we don't know what to do. Like, it was just so transparently, like, undefined. Like, they gave him a glove. It's like Santos Escobar's mask, but just like, okay, like, this is not a character.
Well, they didn't give him a gun, though. But you know who got a gun? They gave Cody a gun in the form of the Gun Club. Cody and the Gun Club.
When did this happen?
So apparently Gun Club, they joined the Nightmare family.
Why? How?
Yesterday or 2 days ago.
Is it just people with family? Is that what unites them? Are wrestlers that alone?
It's anyone who's been a part of the WWE system for more than 5 years.
My God.
They're invited to join. Cody and the Gun Club, that's 2 N's and 1 B, not 2 N's and 2 B's, like I'm going to keep spelling it. They're going to take on Dark Order's John Silver, 10, and Colt Cabana. So what's the story here? Because it's Cody and Darby Allin at Full Gear, and it's John Silver and Orange Cassidy at the Buy-In. What are we doing? And why is this match a thing?
I don't know. It really does just feel like I don't know why this is happening, other than the Gun Club doesn't get a whole lot of time on Dynamite, and Cody can't not be on Dynamite. So
maybe this is to further the Colt Cabana is the chosen one storyline. Where
please.
Colt Cabana, just like you saw the episode of the Stonecutters, in the Simpsons episode, where basically Colt Cabana or Homer is the chosen one, has the birthmark and so on. I think it's kind of like that, except we, as the fans, we don't know it yet, but Dark Order does. So they keep treating him like he's above Brody Lee. They give him preferential treatment, and somehow, some way, Colt Cabana is going to be like supreme leader of the Dark Order.
Wow.
I was looking at the word Gun Club and thinking Bullet Club while thinking Dark Order. So there you go.
Damn. Yeah, I would love to see that. Hopefully that's I think we might just be trying to apply meaning to something that is ultimately meaningless, but hopefully that is what they're doing.
We're going to find out soon enough on Wednesday Night Dynamite. And for the first time since March, I believe, Pac is breaking his silence. So Pac, first of all, he hasn't been on AEW TV since the pandemic began. He's been opting to stay in the UK.
Yeah.
And while we've seen an influx of NXT talent make their way back into the US from the UK, could Pac be heading back, or maybe is the segment via satellite? I don't know what to expect, but I will say this. Pac hasn't posted anything on social media since May 20th. So nobody even knows what he looks like. I'm excited for that reveal.
Yeah, I'm interested.
I'm expecting like an extra 100 pounds, and he's been watching a ton of rom-coms. He's just like super into romantic comedy.
Sensitive Pac. Sensitive, jovial comedian Pac is what's coming towards us. Clean shaven for sure too.
Clean shaven, cut his hair. Maybe got now he looks like a Best Buy Geek Squad guy.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
I see it.
He wears the glasses too, because he wears glasses for real. So I want.
Oh man. Okay. Yeah, that's probably the most exciting thing coming this Wednesday now.
I give you one more thing that's going to be even more exciting, and that's a face-to-face between Moxley and Eddie Kingston. These two are going to face off for the AEW World Title in an I Quit match at Full Gear. So it's going to be heavy-hitting and brutal, but the question is, what will Eddie Kingston say to catch the mire of John Moxley?
I don't know.
Or
He's going to say stuff about loyalty.
you think he attacks Moxley's wife? Not physically, because you
No,
can't do that,
yeah.
but with words.
Maybe. Yeah. I wouldn't put it past him. I think that's kind of where this is going, that it's like deeply personal. And I think that's probably, since she is a public figure, that's the best way to go about it.
And I guess will Moxley get the upper hand on Kingston going into Full Gear? That's another big question.
Yeah, probably. I see them just battling it out. That's what I see. Like just a close the curtain as they're just, mashing faces. But
works for me. Again, our prediction show will be next Saturday on PW Unlimited. Wednesday is when Dynamite will air, and we'll have our predictions for Full Gear on PW Unlimited next Saturday. Noticeably absent from Wednesday's show is essentially the entire Full Gear card. No Paige, no Omega, no Young Bucks, no FTR, no Orange Cassidy, no Nyla Rose, no Hikaru Shida, or any women's match announced for that matter, including the NWA Women's title, which is, I guess, subtly becoming the TNT title for women because it's the only place where you'll find it being defended.
yeah.
I assume that ratings are going to be down across the board completely because of the US election. It's just a little strange that even though people DVR and not everyone cares about the election, AEW is giving us a go-home show that doesn't have a lot of fire behind it.
Yeah, I don't know. And maybe they're doing something different where they just want to break convention a little and they do have some kind of plan that's going to hype up the pay-per-view, but we'll see. I can't see what the intention is behind all this, but we'll find out.
We will. Meanwhile, on USA Network, NXT will be giving their Wednesday night show. Only 2 matches announced. We have Tommaso Ciampa versus Velveteen Dream. You know what? Going back to the talk about ratings, I love that this match is happening when no one's going to be paying attention. Because of post-elections, ratings going to be down across the board. Let Ciampa win and stop letting Dream have TV time. I don't want to start praising the work ethic of a child groomer.
Mm-hmm.
That's just how it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's bad enough that people are saying, oh, that Riddle, he's real good because now we have to deal with him, even though he's got a lawsuit pending against him. And same thing with other wrestlers that, we're just going to keep putting a barrage of them on TV until you're okay with it and just understanding this is where it's going. Forget that. Ciampa just beat the shit out of Dream. Just end it.
Yep.
We're done. That's it. We're over it. But the match that I want to see two people beat the shit out of each other for real in a good way is Ember Moon taking on Dakota Kai. I am here for this match, Tim.
Yeah, this one's going to be excellent. Like very, very exciting.
Absolutely. Ember Moon was kicked in the face by Dakota Kai after Ember's hard-hitting match versus Jessie Kamea 2 weeks ago in NXT. Meanwhile, Dakota Kai is looking to climb the ranks of the NXT women's division. It's in a stranglehold right now by champion Io Shirai, which we talked about on our Tim and Joel Called in the Ring show, Thursdays, 8 p.m. on YouTube, by the way, or wherever you find your podcasts. Hey, Tim, what do you think about Toni Storm? You think she'll get involved here?
I don't know what else she has to do. So yeah, probably. Like, I think it'll move to maybe Toni Storm, Ember Moon, or Toni Storm, Dakota Kai. They have a couple of different ways they can take it, but she needs to be on TV since they hyped her return simultaneously with Ember's. So
feels like one of these two have to turn at one point. And
yeah.
I think since Toni Storm was on her way to doing it in the UK before COVID, it might be Toni's time to turn and show her true colors on NXT TV.
For sure.
So we're going to find out. And we'll see maybe if Raquel Gonzalez gets involved because Dakota Kai is, of course, in the match against Ember Moon. And she just had a knockdown, drag-out fight against Rhea Ripley last week at Halloween Havoc. So she'll either be there or she'll be still at home convalescing. Who knows? I want to see, by the way, an update on Finn Balor on Wednesday. It's not announced, but I expect it.
Yeah.
I want to see an explanation from Pete Dunne, who suddenly snuck into the country and joined the brand, which, thank you. I loved it. And I also want to see Dinner with the Garganos.
Yeah.
I need mopey Candace and overly supportive Johnny.
Yeah, it's going to be real sweet. I can't wait.
All right, let's move on to SmackDown. Finish out the week.
Yeah.
Who's going to be on the Women's Survivor Series SmackDown team? So far, we have Bianca Belair. That's about it.
Yeah.
I have a feeling we're going to see another triple threat match. I have a feeling it's going to be Carmella versus Zelina versus Tamina.
Yeah, and Carmella obviously wins that.
Carmella wins, pins Zelina Vega, and there's a reason for that. They'll do a loser's last chance. Anyone who wasn't pinned in either triple threat gets a match to be added to the card. It'll be Tamina versus Natalya, and maybe Natty wins because of Natty and Lana. And the Riot Squad,
Riot Squad,
to say. Riot Squad. The Riot Squad joins the women's tag team, or joins as the women's tag team representatives for SmackDown, because the women's tag team champions are on the Raw team. So we would then see Bianca Belair, Carmella, Natalya, the Riot Squad as the SmackDown tag team, or the SmackDown team for Survivor Series. Maybe swap Carmella for Tamina.
That's not going to happen. Carmella's got to be in it. Like, what is she going to go for? She can't go for the title yet because that's spoken for. So
she could be the loser of losers, like the fancy loser. Someone who says, I'll do it on my time, but then loses every match.
I'm untouchable, continues to be beaten week after week.
Exactly. Untouchable meaning she sucks.
That would be very weird. Yeah, no one wants to touch her because she's a terrible performer. Exactly. Man, they hyped her return for so long. I mean, that would be very funny. I would enjoy it, but I don't see them doing that.
I see Tamina on the team only because Nia Jax is on the other side.
Yeah, it's true.
So you match the power with power. I guess we're going to find out Tamina is almost always on the Survivor Series team at this point. Maybe this is the first year in a while where she's not.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? One of these two women probably won't be on the Survivor Series team, and that's because for the SmackDown Women's Championship, Sasha Banks is going to defend her newly crowned championship over Bayley, the former champion. Sasha Banks, who's never successfully defended a singles title in WWE on the main roster, and Bayley, who has everything to gain, including a potential match versus Asuka at the Survivor Series if she wins. So, Tim, where do you see it going?
I don't know. So they could very quickly dispel the cloud that's been hanging over Sasha and have her pick up this retention right off the bat. Or they could keep that narrative going, put Bayley over again, so she takes it right back, fights Asuka, they come back, and they keep feuding right into WrestleMania. Or, Sasha takes the title back at the Rumble, and then first title defense WrestleMania.
I could see her losing. I probably expect a DQ finish, a non-finish for this match, though.
Oh, yeah.
These two are going to face off most likely at TLC.
Yeah.
So let's assume the chair that they're both kind of, bringing around, let's say it gets into play on Friday, and then maybe a table, and then maybe a ladder, and then, just hit us over the head with it.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah. Yep. No subtlety.
The only other thing I can see is maybe Sasha drops the title to Bayley. Sasha's going to join the women's Survivor Series team just to be the sole survivor and set up something with Bianca Belair. But even that feels weird because then you got to beat one of them. Unless they're both both survivors, because sole survivor is one person. That's the only thing I can see. But I don't expect Banks or Bayley to be a part of the Survivor Series women's team. It doesn't make sense to me. Well, what also makes sense, or suddenly makes sense, is that Jay has bent the knee. And he brutalized Daniel Bryan last week on SmackDown. So what will Jay have to say after doing such a heinous thing to Daniel Bryan, sending him off in a stretcher and leaving the superstar with a bruised kidney and multiple strains of contusions throughout the thoracic and lumbar spine, according to WWE.com. Easy for me to say. And meanwhile, Jay took out Bryan at Roman Reigns' command and said, I understand now. So he's joining the side of the tribal chief. What does Jimmy have to say about this?
I assume he'll come in and have something to say, but we've been talking about how this was going to go, and it's kind of going along that line. It makes sense that he's finally bent the knee. I don't know. They could either keep going, and this could ultimately be Roman versus Jay again, because they've been doing such a tremendous job, or this becomes a new faction where they're just absolutely dominant. So I'm happy with either way, because like the promos these guys are cutting and the matches that they're putting in the ring are excellent. Like, I didn't really expect this to be anywhere near as good as it turned out to be. Like, this is a really great feud, like a classic in the making.
Both men have been absolutely on fire since, not only since Roman coming back, but since Jay inserted himself into this whole story. I agree with you fully. It's going to be one hell of a story leading into Survivor Series. They don't even care about Randy Orton. They don't. They're looking way past it.
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter to them. But what does matter is who's going to join the men's Survivor Series team for SmackDown. We already have Jey Uso, of course, the aforementioned Uso, and Kevin Owens, who joined by defeating Dolph Ziggler this past Friday. Who else joins the team? Again, saying it's Otis. Pitch a few more names to you. Aleister Black, Chad Gable, Lars Sullivan, King Corbin, Seth Rollins.
Oh, Alistair.
We got two names to fill, assuming Otis joins the team.
Yeah, I completely forgot Alistair was around. I'm going to say Lars, because the way they're pushing him, he was bullied. So that's a character. And King Corbin, just because they won't stop putting him everywhere I don't want him to be.
I just thought of something awful.
Oh, God.
Lars Sullivan saying that he was bullied. Chad Gable saying that he's sick of being bullied and no longer wants to be Shorty G. The two of them join the team to get, like, they get on the team. So Chad and Lars, and they form a tag team.
Ew.
Right? But it's just like Killian Dane and Drake Maverick, except just in the size difference. But completely different play. But oh my God, could you go there?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. They don't know what they're doing. So I'd be happy just to see Chad Gable still get, some attention. That I'd be fine with. So whatever. Do whatever you want, WWE.
Well, that's the week in wrestling. That's the weekly draw. We have a lot and had a lot to talk about. So I guess next week, we're going to do PW Unlimited. We'll have our full gear preview. If you check us out, Thursdays, 8 p.m. on YouTube, Tim and Joel call it in the ring, timandjoelpod.com. Tim, where can the kids find you on the internet?
Kids can find me at Timstone P, TIMBSTONEP. The P stands for pile driver.
And you can find me at Joel Pearl on all forms of social media, JOELPEARL. We'll see you guys next week. Enjoy your wrestling.